and Tom Schmitz. Well, 1 out of 2 isn't bad.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks on a Tuesday, December 28th. Only got 3 more days after today of the year 2021. And I'm going to be honest with you. Back surgery, adverse reaction to the COVID shot, heart issues. Get out 2021. I'm ready for it to go.
Time for a new year.
Yeah, Kevin Sheilley, the CEO of the Ocala, Marion County. Why did I said it right just a minute ago?
No, you said it wrong then.
Did I say it in wrong?
That's-
So say it right.
So technically, it's the Ocala Metro Chamber and Economic Partnership.
Oh, so it is Ocala Metro.
Yep.
Oh, Marion County ain't got nothing to do with it.
Well, Marion County is the Ocala Metro.
Yes. So Kevin's the CEO of that group. How long? You've been here a while now,
It was
Kevin.
9 years, the beginning of December.
That's what I thought. I
December
remember Buddy and I were doing radio, and you came in with these grandiose ideas of how you were going to help with your team and in partnership with business leaders around the county. You were going to help get us out of a construction and horse farm base. And don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with construction, nothing wrong with the horse farms. They've kept this county in good stead for a very long time. But then we had the housing bust that happened, and we had to diversify.
Diversification.
And so now people will say, well, Kevin did that. He brought in a bunch of car washes and convenience stores.
More than one person says that, yes.
I know to me, it's one of the most. I know it's tongue in cheek, and I know we have brought in a lot of convenience stores, gas stations, a lot of car washes, but that's because there's a lot of people here.
Right.
If the companies that came here couldn't make money with them, they wouldn't have built them here.
That's the beauty of the free enterprise system, is that individuals and companies get to decide to invest money. And if they have made good decisions, they do well. And if they've made poor decisions, then someone else gets to go in that space.
I was woke up this morning and looked at my text messages. I got a group text, and one of my buddies was showing pictures of an apartment complex slab that was being poured at 12:30 this morning.
Okay.
Because they're building around the clock to try to help. And I've said on this radio show that we are in a housing shortage, that we need not only single-family homes, but multi-family purposed homes, quadruplexes, duplexes, apartments. Am I overstating that,
No.
or are we really in a place where it's an emergency need?
It is huge. And let's talk about why that is.
Right.
Often people think, well, there's this real estate boom that's happening nationwide, and absolutely, that's a piece of it. Even if that was not going on, we would be seeing this exact same situation happening in our community today. Let's go back. You talked about the Great Recession. And if you look at the numbers, we were building crazy numbers of homes in this community, unsubstantiated, right? There was no economic base for the number of homes
And
we
we
were building.
left ghost towns of roads and electrical and all over the county.
Yeah, in 05, 06. And then we have the Great Recession in 07. And really, for the next 10 years, home building in any meaningful way stopped in this community.
Brakes put on.
Our population, which had been growing, stopped. And it really didn't see much growth happen from 08 to 2013. But in 2013, the growth restarted. But again, I said we took 10 years off from really building houses. We didn't start building houses again to 2017.
So the growth started back 5 years in. We didn't start building houses till 10 years in. So we're 5 years behind at the minimum.
Exactly. And so we need to be building. We didn't start building the number of homes for the number of people moving into our community until 2020. That doesn't do anything about the backlog. That's just addressing the current need. That population growth, and we won't get new numbers again. I should get them in March. But, we've continued to see, Florida continues to see population acceleration. We expect to see that our numbers, we're actually doing a little bit better than the state share of that. We're way behind. And so we need homes just for people who are living here who want to own homes, but can't because they can't have trouble finding it. You talked about condos selling for more than they're worth. Well, no, they're selling for what they're worth today, right? Because something's worth what someone's willing to pay for it. But supply and demand. I mean, that's what drives the market.
Capitalism.
We've got way more demand than we have supply. On the multifamily piece, from 2010 to 2020, in that 10-year span, for large multifamily, for something more than 10 units.
Right.
So besides an odd duplex or triplex here or there, we only added 600 multifamily units. We added 50,000 people, but we only added 600 apartments.
Even if you think a family of 4 lives in an apartment, 6 times 4, that's only 2,400 people.
Yeah.
And we've added 50,000.
50,000. And you talked about some people can't afford. Some people don't want a house.
No.
They don't want the upkeep. They don't want a yard. They don't want those pieces. And so, what really became a huge push for us, because that's not core to what we do at the CEP, but we've been out there telling the story to developers about, hey, there's an opportunity, there's a need. So we're seeing lots of multifamily coming through the pipeline. What I think is really exciting is it's a really good, broad, diverse mix. We're seeing entry-level apartments, mid-level apartments, luxury apartments. We're seeing entry-level townhomes, mid-level townhomes, upper-level townhomes. We're seeing different types of multiplex, duplex, quadplex, at all different price points, all different ownership points. So really helping to mature, because this, for most of its history, this has been a single-family market.
Right.
The idea is housing here is inexpensive. Everyone can afford a home. Well, as the market has changed, not everybody wants a home. People want different things. They want smaller homes. They want smaller lots. They want bigger, all those things. We're really being able to mature as a market to meet those needs.
When you said, just a few minutes ago, you said it's not you've been telling the story when it's not really the job of the
Right.
CP. But when you go to talk to big companies about relocate or bringing their business to Ocala, I bet one of the questions you get is, how's the housing market? Is there room for people to move there?
It is fascinating. I've been doing September marked my 27th year in this industry. And no one had ever really much asked that question. I mean, it'd be maybe a cursory, just, tell me about housing, one sentence, okay, great, whatever. That's an opening question now. We have 2 projects that we picked up last week that we were talking to, and both cases, one of the top 3 questions was, let's talk about your housing. How many housing is being built? What level of housing? What's affordability? How many multifamily? What's happening? We've got a great story to tell with that now, but that really is key, because if you don't have a place for your workforce to live, and that's everyone from entry level all the way up to whoever your senior level person is, then they're not going to come here.
I remember when we did radio, you came on numerous times on the Voice of Ocala, and we would always talk that they wanted to know about the school systems, wanted to know about the arts, and they wanted to know about what the median income was and everything. We never mentioned housing.
No.
And now you're saying that's a leading question.
Absolutely. They want to know about, still the number one question is about the real estate, where they're going to locate, whether that's raw land that they're going to develop, and for us that means shovel-ready land in a park, or a building. In this case, in this day and age, I have no existing building, so it's going to be a spec building. But after that piece, the next question is about workforce. And a part of the question about workforce is housing.
My wife came here. She was recruited from her job in Houston to come here to be, I think, she was one of the high ups at Sheilley.
Mm-hmm.
Susan, that was her. When she came here, she did it at Sheilley. And one of the first things she did was she said, there was housing. I was able to look at a bunch of different, she couldn't find anything to rent right away. She had to shop around. Right. She goes, but there was housing to look around, and I was able to shop around, make offers on things, and found the house I wanted. You can't do that right now in Marion County.
Right. It's a challenge. And so, look, part of that is that's true everywhere. We're being proactive in how we address it. We're using, quite frankly, again, I'm a big believer in the free enterprise system. We're talking to developers, and they're making investments in our community that are going to result. We've also, if you look at the maps, we've also said, hey, we're going to protect our farmland preservation area, and we've been big proponents of that. And we're also going to protect our national forest area. And so, that leaves us a pretty small, only about a third of the county where we can have real development, but that's where all this is happening. We're maintaining and keeping these other areas safe and preserved so that we can grow, though, in the core.
What, if you had to put your finger on what the one thing that the CEP hangs its hat on in 2021, what would it be that the CEP is, with all the development, all the businesses come in, what's the one key that you see as the CEP that made 2021 a success?
I think we just kept doing what we do. And that's not the answer you're looking for, but we keep talking to businesses, we keep talking to developers. The tremendous amount of work that we've done with entrepreneurs and growing and diversifying entrepreneurs and using entrepreneurship as a way to address inequality of opportunity. All those pieces, we didn't let up on anything. Throughout 2020 and into 21, a lot of my peers throughout the country talked about things they were putting on hold. We didn't put anything on hold. We kept everything moving forward so that we could keep our community moving forward.
One of the industries that was a big deal when it came into town, and that some people still don't know is here, but my wife was looking for, as she does her business, Just Ship, she needs somebody if she's on the delivery or something, she needs her phone answered. I said, have you ever heard of Answer Phone?
Yep.
She goes, what's Answer Phone? I go, it's located in downtown. It's right here in Marion County. It's an answer to people's needs. And people don't realize we have all kind of diverse industry, just like Answer Phone, right here in this town, and it's still growing. I mean, I remember when the 484 project was a pipe dream, when they were discussing how to do, and now it's a cash cow, basically.
Yep.
I mean, say what you want. It's great for this community. We have the 484 project.
489.
489, 484. 484 is out where they just put Dollar Tree and everything. I get them confused. Look, I played college football. Shots to the head. But the 489 project.
Yeah.
I remember when people go, why would who would build out there?
Yeah. I can remember, Tom, when I came, that we talked about, leadership talked about, this is going to serve our community for the next generation.
It served us for about the next 6 years.
Yeah. There are 3 undeveloped lots in that park. One of those, I think, construction started on this week, site clearing for a new 350,000 square foot spec building. We closed last week on the next to last site, and they'll start work probably early Q2 on a 450,000 square foot spec building, which is only going to leave 15 acres.
Of that massive 489 area.
489. And, what that does, and oftentimes we think about just about the jobs piece. But I love when I get to talk to groups, in particular out the 200 corridor, and we talk to our retirement communities. If you look at this last round on millage rates and property taxes, we're basically the only community around us that didn't have to raise millage rates.
Right.
And a huge piece of that is because of all of these industries, huge investments. They pay big property tax bills. They actually put very little back on the community that we have to fund, and they write their checks. All of their checks, you can go look in November. Man, one after the other. Here come these huge hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollar checks into our local community. That strong base allows us to keep our property tax rates among the, if not the lowest in the state. And that's a huge advantage that benefits all of us.
People said, yeah, but my taxes went up. No, your tax rate did not go up.
Yeah.
The value of your home went up.
Right.
And so therefore your tax bill increased. But it was not your taxes technically did not increase,
Exactly.
just the value of your home. And by the way, back to record highs, back to where they were before the Great Recession.
Right.
I think I saw an article on Ocala.com. Over the last 2 years, 40% is what housing has increased in value, 40%.
And the great thing is there's actually really strong fundamentals behind it this time.
Yeah, it's not secondary lending. There's nothing shaky underneath it.
We're not buying and flipping. We're buying and holding. And some people may be buying to rent and doing some other things, but those are good bases of an economy. Those are things that are sustainable so that when there is a downturn, and there will be at some point, we're in better shape to sustain through that. Just another number that I think is fascinating. We right now have about 5 million square feet of industrial spec space that is either under construction or will go under construction in the next couple months. That's going to add more than $500 million in investment into our community. Think about the tax dollars that's going to result in. Again, that save all of us money because these corporations are going to be paying that tax dollars, keeping our rates lower.
And they'll bring in employees that don't necessarily live in Marion County but live in the surrounding areas who will then bring their money in and pay taxes as well in our community, in convenience stores and in department stores and in restaurants.
Absolutely. We talk all the time about the sales tax, and we talk that 30% is paid by people who don't live here. And we often think about that as tourists. But the reality is, a big piece of that are people who are commuting into this community.
People live in Citrus County, Levy County,
Lake Sumter,
yeah.
And growing more and more. We're getting more and more people out of Alachua County. And while they're here working, this is also where they come to shop. It's where they come to be entertained. It's where they come for health care. And
Certainly.
so as they come in for all of those things, they also will run into a store. They will run to get something to eat. They will do this. They're spending money that then comes back to help support our community that's paid for by people who don't call this place home. And that's a real win for us.
Let's talk about something that is a hot button issue right now. And I've said on this show that, folks, you have to realize we might not want the extension. But if the DOT decides the extension's coming through, it's coming whether we like it or not, because the DOT they don't care about one county. They care about 67 counties in their grand plan. And I know that you recently said in an interview with Ocala.com that you are in lockstep with how the language the commission is using in talking to the DOT about where, if at all, the extension of the turnpike should happen.
Yeah, and so our board met and did a call with FDOT presentation for over an hour and actually drilled them pretty hard on several pieces. But the most important thing, and what we agree with what the county has done, is we've got to get through this part of the process. There are 4 wide corridors that they're studying. We're not endorsing any corridor. We're not even endorsing the parkway extension. We're just simply saying we got to get through this phase of the study because no one knows what this is yet. I think Chairman Zalek said it best at the commission meeting. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
100%.
So we just need to make sure that as a community, we continue to be there. And I encourage people, if you have concerns, voice those. Go to the meetings, fill out the forms, do the online, talk, be educated. But, I also tell people, just also understand this road, we don't know where it'll be built. Someone was very concerned and told me, it's going to go right through my living room. And I'm like, man, you don't know that. We don't know where this is going.
There are 4 routes right now that they proposed. 3 of them do come through Marion County. But that doesn't mean any decision's been made.
Well, and it's not a fine line.
No.
These are, in some cases, especially, the Central Corridor, it's huge.
Right.
Huge. We have to get through. There is no money funded for anything past the study. This is, in best case scenario, if you're pro-extension, best case scenario, it'll probably be the end of this decade before anything
Before
happens.
construction even gets started, if at all.
Yeah, and it'll be in phases. This is going to be if it was built, a 30-year project. So let's get through the study phase. Let's find out what the information comes back. It is going to be a challenging road to build because of, in particular, the environmental areas that have to be managed.
The wetland areas and all
the
that.
Wetland areas. Yeah. There are all kinds of pieces in this. I think it's going to be very difficult how they make it work. I really don't know that I understand. I've been around long enough and been part of enough road projects to know that isn't something that's going to happen quickly. It isn't something that's going to happen today or tomorrow or next year or the next couple of years. And they still have to, as much as FDOT doesn't need our permission, they still have to work around these environmental areas and these other pieces. So let's get through this first phase. Let's go through the study, and then we can think about more definitive actions that may need to be taken.
If you've ever ridden the Suncoast Parkway from where you get it in Brooksville into Tampa to the airport, by the way, the best way to get to the Tampa airport,
Absolutely.
period. But if you've ever ridden that, and I've talked to people at the DOT and everything, and you know how much 1 mile of that cost in wetland preservation. Because it goes through some pretty serious wetland areas south of Brooksville and everything, and that they had to rebuild those and keep those habitats there for wildlife by federal mandate. It's the EPA and all, the Environmental Protection Agency is involved. It's an astronomical cost. So this isn't something they're going to rush into and build, and we're going to be able to use it by 2024.
And as is proposed at this point, and is how Florida tends to build roads, is it's going to be based, it has to pay for itself. It has to be a toll road. That means you've got to have enough traffic to fund over a 30-year period the bonds that pay for this road. The more of those issues you have to deal with, the less likely it's going to be. So that's why I'm like, I absolutely be involved, express your concerns, but we need to get through this first study, which I think is the report's due to the governor and to the legislature, I think it's in 2023. I think
It
it's
is in
early
2023.
So, we've got a whole nother 18 months, 15 months, whatever it is, before that's due. So let's just stay involved, watch the process.
The legislature could change by then too, and
Yeah.
that figures into it.
Yeah, and there won't be. I mean, there is nothing. $0 exists after this study to do
There's
anything.
nothing been approved to do anything but make this study.
Yeah.
To see if it's viable.
And what I think sometimes, unless you're involved in this on a regular basis, why would you know this? The state, the county, the city, they do studies all the time on road projects
That you'd never know about.
that never happen. That never happened because they get through it and they go, it isn't viable. It isn't feasible.
I know in 2010, there was a study done by the Florida Department of Transportation. It was a 2.5-year study about making 75 4-lane from Tampa to I-10. The study was done, took 2.5 years to do it. They did a big study. Wasn't feasible at the time. It may be something they look into again.
Well,
Who knows?
and so they have started again on the study. Again, this one's quieter, but about expanding I-75 from the turnpike through Marion County.
Right.
I think you're going to see, I think that becomes a different story. I think you're going to see some real things happen on that. In between time, what we have to do locally is continue on projects that take local traffic off I-75, like the 49th Avenue corridor, like the 80th project, some of these others, that allow us to keep moving cars. And again, local roads take a long time too. There is no fast building roads.
But we still need north-south roads, and that's what these are solving.
Exactly.
We got about 3 minutes left, so I got to get you. Come on. I know you got a secret you can tell me about 2022.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. A couple things to think about in 2022. On February 2nd, so 02/22,
Groundhog Day.
02/22, Groundhog Day, we will roll out our new 5-year strategic plan. We've finished our second strategic plan, met all the goals and objectives. We'll be rolling out our new strategic plan, Forward Momentum. And one of the things that you're going to see is to continue diversification of the economy. But I've mentioned we have 5 million square foot of industrial spec. Everything from the Red Rock's 1.1 million square foot spec building that's being built now right across the street from Amazon, across the interstate, to smaller multi-tenant. And we've got demand every day from companies looking for space. You're going to see throughout this year several company announcements filling in this space. You're going to see diversification. We've got some manufacturing. We haven't done much manufacturing announcement recently. You're going to see some of that. We have tremendous amount, despite what people hear on the news, we've got a lot of demand for office.
Yeah.
It's hard because I don't have much office product currently available. You're going to see, there's going to be something by the end of the year, end of next year, you're going to see something move on office, I feel like. And downtown, the next phase of some incredible things happening downtown are going to come out in 2022.
Looking forward to it, especially if it's a grocery store downtown. I'm looking forward to that. But, hey, whatever happens, as long as it's better than 2021. I didn't think it could get worse in 2020. I was mistaken.
There you go. Well, as we like to say, you just have to keep moving forward.
You got to keep moving forward. Kevin, thanks for coming by. Thanks
Always.
for being accessible. And thanks for everything you do. And by the way, even though we said construction and horse was the base and we diversified, the horse industry still alive and well in this county.
And really, just quickly, think about what tourism is becoming in our community.
Yeah.
With World Equestrian Center, and then in the spring when FAST opens up, the Florida Aquatic Swimming Training Facility, we suddenly have the opportunity for tourism to be a contributing factor to the local economy.
Again.
Yes.
What Disney destroyed with Silver Springs, we're trying to rebuild with things
really,
like the
for the
World
first time
Equestrian Center.
in almost 50 years,
Right.
it'll be a major contributing factor, and I think that's really exciting.
Kevin Sheilley, he is the CEO of the Ocala Metro Chamber of Economic Partnership.
Close.
Oh, God.
Chamber and
Economic Partnership. Kevin, thanks so much for stopping by.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for everybody to listen. Thanks for all my callers. We'll be back here the same time tomorrow on Ocala Talks on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. This is WOCA, The Source.
This is WOCA AM, W242 CAFM, Ocala, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
New York's decision to modify its return to work COVID protocols to 5 days for essential workers received support from Dr. Anthony Fauci on Monday. Alfredo Guzman from the Kosher Marketplace in New York City tells NBC4 this is a good policy.
This is the best thing that we can do. It's just a peace of mind for us as a person, and also it's a peace of mind for our co-workers.
As the rain was coming down in Southern California last night, emergency personnel responded to reports of a small plane crash in El Cajon, California, about a 20-minute drive east of San Diego. The plane was headed to nearby Gillespie Field. Authorities did not indicate where the plane originated or how many people were on board, but did say there were no survivors.